Have you ever asked ChatGPT a question and gotten a response that felt off? Maybe it was too vague, too complicated, or just not what you were looking for. That's because AI doesn't just understand your question like a human would. It follows a pattern-based process to predict the best possible answer. So, how does AI actually process your prompts? And how can you write better prompts to get clearer, more accurate responses? That's what we're breaking down today. Let's dive in. So now you know how generative AI works, but how can you get the most out of it and craft good prompts? This is referred to as prompt engineering. Let's take a look. One of the biggest mistakes people make when using generative AI is asking vague questions. If you want better, more accurate answers, you need to guide AI with a structured prompt. That's where the RTF prompting framework comes in. RTF is a simple framework that helps you craft better AI prompts by focusing on 3 key elements: role, task, and format. Let's get to it. First role is when you tell AI who it should be. Think of it like giving AI a job description. Should it act as a history professor, a customer service agent, or a coding assistant? The role you assign helps shape how the AI responds. For example, instead of just saying, "Explain this topic," you could say, "You are an academic writing tutor. Explain this concept in simple terms. See the difference? What task do you want it to do? Do you need it to summarize an article, generate ideas, or provide a step-by-step guide?" If you're asking AI to write, what tone should it use? Should it sound formal and academic, or apologetic and professional? Or does it need to be casual and friendly? The more specific you are, the more useful the response will be. For instance, instead of just saying, "Tell me about photosynthesis," you could say, "Explain photosynthesis in simple terms for a 5th grade student in a friendly and engaging tone." That way, the AI tailors the response to the right level and style, making it more effective for your needs. Finally, you tell it the format, or how you want the response delivered. Should the answer be in bullet points, a paragraph, a table, or even a script? Defining the format keeps AI from guessing and makes the response easier to use. For example, you might say, "Summarize this article in 4 bullet points," or "Write this as a step-by-step guide." Now let's take a look at some examples of weak prompts and how they could be improved using the Role Task Format RTF framework. Let's say you want to ask generative AI to explain a complex topic. You wouldn't want to ask, "Explain Newton's laws." Let's convert this into the RTF format. To assign a role, specific task, and format, you could say, "You're a physics professor. Explain Newton's 3 laws of motion in simple terms with real-world examples in a bulleted list." If you wanted help structuring an essay, you wouldn't just say, "Write an essay outline about the causes and effects of the Great Depression." To be more specific and use the RTF prompting framework, you could say, "You're a history professor. Create a thesis statement for an essay with 3 supporting points on the causes and effects of the Great Depression. Provide them in an outline." If you wanted help summarizing a text, a prompt like, "Summarize this article," probably won't give you a very detailed summary. Another way to ask in the RTF framework would be, "You're an academic writing assistant. Summarize this article in 200 words, highlighting the main argument, key evidence, and conclusion." Note that the task and format don't need to be in any specific order, just as long as they're there. All right, guys, now we're going to put your skills to the test. It's time for the Spot the RTF Prompt game show. Can you tell if a prompt includes all 3 components? After we read each example prompt, you'll have 5 seconds to choose whether it's an RTF framework prompt or not. Ready? Here we go. First one, you're a fitness coach. Provide a list of 5 key benefits of strength training for beginners in bullet points. Does this follow RTF framework? We've got the role fitness coach. Our task: provide a list of 5 key benefits of strength training for beginners. And format in bullet points. Great! This is a perfectly structured prompt, specific, clear, and easy for a chatbot to follow. Did you get it right? Let's move along to the next one. Next up, write 3 engaging post ideas for a small bakery launching a new cupcake flavor in a numbered list. Is it in the RTF framework? And the answer is nope. What's missing here? We've got task, write 3 engaging post ideas, format numbered list, and role. There's no role. Who is AI supposed to be in this scenario? A social media strategist? A bakery owner? A marketing expert? Without a role, AI might guess how to write the post ideas, but the results might not be exactly what you're looking for. A better version would be, you're a social media strategist. Suggest 3 engaging post ideas for a small bakery launching a new cupcake flavor in a numbered list. How you doing so far? You're a composition professor. Provide feedback on my thesis statement. Social media has changed how young adults communicate and form relationships. Is this a complete RTF prompt? No, it's not right. What's missing? We have the role, composition professor, and the task, provide feedback on a thesis statement. But it's missing format instructions. This prompt gives the AI a role and a clear task, but it doesn't explain how we want the feedback delivered or what aspects should be evaluated. That leaves AI guessing, and it could end up evaluating grammar and punctuation in a bullet list or paragraph, or focused on the wrong things. A better version following the RTF format would be, you're a composition professor. Evaluate the clarity, focus, and strength of my thesis statement. Present your feedback as a short paragraph for each area, followed by a revised version of the thesis statement. Social media has changed how young adults communicate and form relationships. Like we learned earlier, the task and format don't have to be in a specific order. Now the chatbot knows exactly what to look for, how to organize the response, and how to give us something we can immediately use. Ready for the next one? You're a customer service representative. Use a polite and empathetic tone to write a professional response in paragraph form to an upset customer requesting a refund. Is this a complete RTF prompt? Yes! Let's break it down. We've got the role, customer service representative. We've got the task, write a refund response in a polite and empathetic tone. And we've got the format in paragraph form. So, again, even though the task and format are flipped, it still works. AI has everything it needs to generate a strong response. How did you do, guys? Let's ask ChatGPT to break down a process. We'll ask it to list the steps of the electron transport chain. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's giving us a general definition and listing the 6 steps and explaining the processes. It's telling us the components that contribute to each step. We can see that the response is describing the process broadly. So it explained the steps one by one with a detailed answer that's kind of hard to follow. Now let's try it again using an RTF formatted prompt. This time we'll say, you are a biology tutor. Create a table outlining the major steps of the electron transport chain, including the molecules involved, where it occurs, and the outcome of each step. This time, instead of being more conversational, ChatGPT is responding in a more instructional way. Since we clearly defined what we needed in the task, it's creating an easy-to-read table we can copy and paste into a document. The table outlines what we asked for, the major steps of the electron transport chain, the details on the molecules involved, the location, and the outcome of each step. So this made the task more focused and easier for ChatGPT to execute. If you noticed, it also responded more quickly. This structured table format lets us see a clearer, organized comparison of information that's relevant to what we want to know. The headings help us easily see the breakdown on how each piece of the process is described. So, this made it easier to get the details without having to read through a bunch of paragraphs. So we see that using the RTF framework gave us more focused, organized, and effective answers, especially for this complex topic. Since we were specific about giving ChatGPT the role of a biology tutor, tasking it to give us the specific information we wanted and the format we wanted, asking for a table, we got a response that's easier to read and understand. Like we said, the task and format don't have to be in a specific order, just as long as they're in the prompt. Okay, let's ask Claude to make a weekly low-carb meal plan for someone on a budget. So, we see it just gives us a weekly plan and tells us vaguely what we could eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner: cabbage and sausage skillet, baked white fish with zucchini noodles, and avocado egg bake. It gives us some general budget saving tips. Now let's see what happens if we enter a prompt in the RTF format. You're a nutritionist specializing in budget-friendly meal planning. Create a one-week low-carb meal plan for a college student with a total budget of $45. The plan should include cost-effective ingredients in a bulleted list and simple recipe instructions in paragraphs requiring minimal cooking equipment. We see that instantly it starts creating our shopping list and costs of each item in a bulleted list like we requested. Underneath that, it gives us recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week in paragraph form. It's showing us mostly things you cook in the microwave, use a pot or a pan for, or require no cooking, which is suited for a college student. And at the end, it gives us some tips for success. In the main panel, it recaps the task and format we requested. It included an estimate of prices for each item, 21 meals that are all low-carb, simple cooking instructions, and reminds us that it presented the information like we requested. You see the difference that prompting can make when you use the RTF framework rather than just asking a general question. Your results can be drastically different and beneficial. The RTF format is one way to get the most out of generative AI. All right, let's recap what we've covered in this video. Let's review our key takeaways. We learned if you want better responses from AI, the RTF framework is your secret weapon. It can drastically impact the quality of responses you get from generative AI. First, you assign it a role like you are an English professor. You also need to assign it a task with the specific instructions that you want it to follow. For example, highlight the pros and cons of two arguments and provide facts supporting each one, and specify the format, such as a table, a bulleted list, a 5-paragraph essay, or a certain number of words. By using the RTF framework, you can get clearer and more accurate responses that are useful and in-depth. Whether you're writing an email, researching a topic, or generating creative content, a well-structured prompt makes all the difference. The next time you use an AI chatbot, try refining your prompt and see the impact for yourself.